Hi, I'm Cheryl, and this is the journal entry for the 22nd of October 2019. And I've actually got a name for this one, and it'll be a podcast episode, definitely. This one is called Old Tapes from the Vault of a Fucked Up Psyche. And once you hear about my day, you'll probably find it quite apropos. Anyway, it's a Tuesday and I am going for my third surgical consult. As you've probably discovered if you have been following me for a little while, I've had two previously with varying advice as to treatment, which caused some conflict. And this is the third one. Split the difference, get the information. I went over, there were some misadventures, that's neither here nor there really, and spent a total of an hour and a half with the doctor, the breast care nurses after talking to him. It was a very productive consultation. He examined me as part of the conversation. He asked what my optimal outcome was, what I would ideally seek. And I told him. He was the second of the three surgical consults to ask me that, which is incredibly reassuring. And what effectively happened was that he reinforced the recommendations of the first surgeon, which put me at ease, because it was definitely the first surgeon and his approach was definitely my optimal outcome and the way that I was looking to move forward. So that aspect of the consultation was really positive and productive. And so also was the time with the wonderful nurse from the breast care support nurse for ACT, or one of the team. And so I was there for, as I said, around an hour and a half. I left about 11:15 or so. And I was walking out, and intellectually I was reflecting on the positive outcome, and that his recommendations supported my first surgeon's recommendations, and what my next steps were to consider. Should I go with this surgeon? Should I go with the first one? What else happens? And the really odd thing for me was, as I was walking out with all of these positive outcomes in my head, I had this really uncomfortable feeling in my stomach, and I thought, well, that's a bit silly, and proceeded to dismiss it. And I'm driving along and I'm thinking, I don't have really anything at home for lunch. I was taking the day both to have the consultation and to consider my options for the surgery, because it is a big decision. You're going from anything from a lumpectomy to a double mastectomy, depending on what the surgeons were recommending for what outcome. And so I decided, I don't have anything at home. I'll stop at a local food chain and get a wrap, which is a large tortilla, with some salad and 2 pieces of stuffed fried chicken breast and some chipotle sauce, and I'll have that for lunch. That will do me for the rest of the day, in fact, because it has 2 breast pieces in it, so it's huge. And so I sat and I had that, even though it was a little early for lunch, and started to reflect on my journey and what my options were. And that was fine. And then I decided to go home and continue that discussion continue that decision-making process. And for me, that included pros and cons and making a list, whether it was written down or in my head, and just going through a decision-making process. And interestingly, so I ate about between 11 and 11:30. Around 2 o'clock, between 2 and 2:30, I decided, I should probably finish that pasta that's still there from yesterday, because, that's waste if I don't do that. So I had the pasta, and then I decided to be productive with my day. I had decided on which surgeon that I was going to progress with, and I thought, okay, fine, I need to get the post-surgery bra. And so I went out and I did that. I went straight over to the bra store, and after some toing and froing and discussion, because there's going to be a significant change in the size of my breasts with the solution that I've chosen, and so that was a little bit of a challenge. But I did that fairly promptly. Walked out, saw a bakery just beside it and thought, oh, that looks interesting, you know, sourdough breads and etc. And I thought, I'll just go in and have a look. And I went in and had a look, and the next thing I know, I'm looking at the array of pastries and cakes, and what comes out of my mouth is, oh, what's that? And they went, oh, that's the gluten-free range. And I went, well, I'll have one of those chocolate caramels, and I'll have the small apple pie with crumble topping. For no good reason, okay? For no good reason. Let's just make that clear. And so I got those and went back to Betty and drove home and made a cup of tea, and here I am halfway through this single serve but substantial sized chopped caramel cake, gluten-free, because hey, that makes it better. And I finally realised what was going on with me, and stopped, because I realised that what I was doing was playing an old tape. And it's a really insidious, evil old tape, this one. To give you a bit of backstory about why I recognise this as an old tape, between September of 2018 and March of 2019, I lost 32 kilos or 70 pounds and 6 dress sizes by eating healthily and taking supplements and making positive life choices. And it was tough, but I did it. And I did it at a fairly good rate. And again, healthily. So the reason I say that is so that you know that food and my relationship with food can be an incredibly seductive and challenging relationship. And I stood there in my kitchen eating this chocolate caramel cake, which was delicious, with my cup of tea, not at all hungry, and had realised that I had eaten essentially 3 meals within the course of 4 hours, because I was there and back from the pasta meal within an hour. It was ridiculous. And so I stopped and I walked away from the cake, and I sat down and tried to discern what this old tape was and what it looked like, what it felt like, what the voice in my head was that was associated with this old tape, because we all have them. Every single one of us has these old tapes of negative emotions and negative behavioural patterns that are associated to an experience that we have had previous in our lives, or multiple experiences. And when it's multiple experiences, it's reinforced. And it can be that we're too fat, we're too thin, we're too short, we're too tall, we're too white, we're not white enough, we're too dark. Whatever it is, we all have them, each and every one of us. And that is custom made to our own fucked up psyche. No one else's is the same. Yours is your own to own and to experience and to choose to work through or not. And that's what I was doing on that Tuesday. I sat with this tape, and I let some of it play in my head. And as I said, I listened to the voice. I examined the physical responses in my body. I tried to analyze my emotions and to determine what that tape looked like, felt like, sounded like, as well as what triggered it. And the triggering was actually quite easy to discern once I let myself and my awareness move to that space and sit with it. The triggering was really as simple as when I was walking back to the car, I thought, I'll have scarring. That's not a good look. Scars really aren't that attractive, are they? Particularly on pale skin, that'll take a long time to fade. And then the tape kicked in, and this seductive, familiar old voice in my head said, you know, it's okay. If you eat, you'll get fat again, and you won't be attractive anyway, so it won't matter. So just eat. Just eat. And that's my particular tape for this day. And it is a strong fucker. It is old, it is well worn, it's been played a lot. It gets played a lot less now, but it took something as simple as that, as simple as thinking, oh, the scars, that's not going to be very attractive, and there it went. And the reason I'm spending so much time with you and this is, for me, awareness, being self-aware, recognizing that tape as it starts playing, or the soonest that you could recognize that tape and be aware that this is an old pattern. These are old behaviors. They're negative behaviors. They're not yours. They don't have to be you anymore. They probably haven't been you for a while if you've been doing work. And what I'm hoping is that with some self-awareness, should you choose to spend time when these old tapes arise, you will become more familiar with the indicators of the tapes, what it feels like, where you feel it and experience it in your body. What is that voice saying in your head? What is the negative pattern and the negative emotions that are associated with this tape? It could be a lack of confidence. It could be that you become shy and stutter, or you overcompensate and become too loud. It could be that you simply don't want to engage with people. It could be, like me, that you eat, or it could also be, like me, that you eat, but then you throw up. We all have them, okay? It is okay that we have them. What is even better, though, is that we become self-aware about them and then do something about it. Now, these tapes, they don't go away quickly. We can disrupt those tapes, we can scratch the tapes. But the best place to start, to begin with, is to be aware that there is a tape playing, that there is a set of negative patterns and behaviours and emotions that you are currently experiencing as you're experiencing it. Because the quicker you identify it, the sooner you can shut that shit down, you can turn that tape off and give it zero more airplay for you in that time and in that space. Now, it depends on how far you are along in your own personal growth journey. You can, at that point, acknowledge it, shut it down, breathe, and then move forward into your day again. Or you can seek assistance, go and see a coach, reach out to someone, talk to a friend about it, but really it would be more beneficial if you could talk to a counsellor, to a coach, to a professional, someone with some experience in the field. And hell, leave a message below or reach out to me if you need help. And if I can't help you, I will help point you in the way of someone who can. This stuff, this is the stuff that can cut you down when you are doing so well, when you are moving forward into a life that you are consciously creating, when you are choosing to change and to grow and to learn And it can take something as simple as, oh, you're going to have scars. And you spiral into some shit. I mean, some seriously stenchy stuff. So what I encourage you to do, as I said, practice some self-awareness in the first step, in the first instance. Recognize that this is not who you are now. This is not a behavior that is congruent with how you choose to live your life and experience your world, and who you choose to be in this reality that you are creating. And if you are strong enough to identify it, shut it down, take a deep breath and move forward, knowing that it'll come back, because they do, awesome. If you recognize that there is something that is unhealthy and unproductive, and a negative tape that's playing, and you start to shut it down, and you are perhaps not so confident about your ability to lock it down and close that vault, then, as I said, reach out. Reach out to me, reach out to your own professional, seek assistance with that, because it is a stronger thing to be able to say, I need help with this because I am not an expert at everything in my life. Can you help me, please? That is so much stronger as a person who acknowledges that they have room to grow and that other people may have things to contribute to them in their journey, than it is to be in a state of stubborn certainty that you can do everything. Because I can tell you, no one on this planet can do everything. No one. That's why we have specialists. To round out the story for you, in case you're interested, it took me hours. I spent most of Tuesday working through it and living with my own uncertainty and my lack of self-confidence and self-worth. For me, it hit two of my 3 core fears. We all have 3 core fears. It hit 2, essentially, that I am unlovable and that I am damaged/unworthy. If I push outside of the 3 core fears into general fears, it could also be identified as fear of success, because, you know, if I get fat and I'm unattractive and I don't feel good about myself, but the food's looking after me, well, then I'm not going to push hard and pursue the future that I want to create, where I serve people globally from the UK as well as from Australia. And that's the future that I have been striving to create, and intend to manifest in the first half of 2020. But if I stayed in the spiral of that tape, I wouldn't do it. I would just, why bother? Why try? Just eat. Eating's going to make you feel better. Put some pillows of protection on. Add those layers. No. It took me hours sitting with it and recognizing it, and all of the curves and the edges, all of the nuances of that tape. But now I know that I can recognize it faster, I can disrupt it sooner, I can turn it off. I can choose to give it no airplay, and I can choose to acknowledge that we all have our demons. This is one of mine. This is an old tape from a very well-worn space in the vault of my fucked up psyche. But I can choose to turn the tape off, to put it back in the vault, to slam that door shut and to bloody lock it down until the next time. Because this stuff is a journey. You don't get to shut it down just once. It doesn't just go away. It recurs, and that's why awareness is so important. Thank you for your time. I hope this has been of value. If it has, leave a comment below. If you need some assistance or support, reach out to me or another professional. Leave a message. And most importantly, consciously choose to create the future that you want. There is a way to do it. There is a process. We can move forward. All you have to do is to consciously choose change. I'm Cheryl from the Conscious Change Collective. Thanks for stopping by.